Russian President Putin is watching his refineries disappear one by one, and there is nothing he can do. On the same night as the attack on the Saratov oil refinery, Ukrainian drones struck another major oil producer and took it down. Special Operations Forces attacked the Russian oil refinery facility Lukoil Volgograd Neftepererobotka in the Volgograd region. The press service of the Special Operations Forces of Ukraine reported on this. On the night of September 18th, the agency's unit struck the Russian oil refinery, which, according to preliminary information, led to its shutdown. Specialized Russian monitoring resources confirmed the attack, reporting the arrival of at least 11 long-range drones between 0000 and 2000 a.m. In particular, the drones were reported to have been shot down in the Krasnoarmeysky district, where the company's facilities are located. At the same time, local residents did not publish any footage of a fire or smoke on the territory of the plant, which may indicate that there was no damage to infrastructure and oil tanks. The NASA firm's satellite network, which monitors thermal anomalies and fires, did not detect any sources of thermal radiation at the plant at the time of publication. And during the day, it was recorded in only one place, around the flare pole, where byproducts of refining are burned. In the context of the Russian-Ukrainian war, this refinery is probably one of the most long-suffering facilities in the Russian energy sector. Between March 2024 and September 2025, Ukrainian forces launched 12 attacks on Lukoil Volgograd Neftepererobotka facilities. All the attacks were carried out by groups of long-range drones and targeted oil tanks, primary processing facilities, and pipelines. The attacks have become more intense this year, with 9 attacks in 9 months, 4 of which took place in the last 2 months. The constant impact on the company's operations had to seriously disrupt its cycle due to the need to restore and eliminate flammable substances. This is important, as the Volgograd refinery is the largest producer of fuels and lubricants in the southern federal district of Russia. According to publicly available data, before the start of the Russian-Ukrainian war, Lukoil Volgograd Neftepererobotka had facilities that could process 15.7 million tons of oil annually. This is 5.6% of all oil refining in Russia. On the same day, September 18th, the Ukrainian military successfully attacked the Gazprom Neftekhim Salavat oil refinery in Bashkortostan, causing a large-scale fire on the territory of the enterprise. Atesh partisans paralyzed a railway hub near Yekaterinburg. Due to damage to relay equipment, train movements have been disrupted on all strategic routes. In particular, this hub was used to deliver ammunition, armored vehicles, fuel, and personnel to the front, as well as to factories and depots in the north and east. Only Ukrainians could put together Jurassic Park and Star Wars. HIMARS has proven itself as one of the most decisive weapons in Ukraine's defense. Its precision, mobility, and ability to strike deep behind enemy lines have forced Russia to change its tactics and relocate key assets further from the front. From destroying ammunition depots and command centers to targeting bridges and air defense systems, HIMARS has disrupted logistics and weakened Russian operational planning. Its speed of deployment and accuracy, combined with Ukraine's intelligence, make it nearly impossible for Russian forces to defend against. More than just a weapon, HIMARS has become a symbol of how modern Western technology can shift the balance on the battlefield. Signum Drone Systems Battalion within the 53rd Mechanized Brigade truck and destroyed multiple Russian troop transport vehicles, degrading Russian reinforcements and mobility in the sector. The Signum Battalion of the 53rd Mechanized Brigade is a dedicated unmanned systems unit that specializes in FPV and fiber optic guided strike drones, reconnaissance, and rapid close-in attacks on enemy positions. Operating on axes like Lyman and Serebryanka, Signum crews have located and destroyed artillery, EW systems, and reconnaissance UAVs, becoming a frontline force multiplier for the brigade. Several days ago, Putin had a meeting with his government members, criticizing the sharp slowdown in the Russian economy. Its growth rate has fallen nearly to zero this summer. Last year, according to Rosstat, the Russian economy grew by 4.3%, and the year before, by 4.1%. Since then, growth rates have slowed fourfold. The economy began contracting quarter on quarter for the first time since 2022, and industry has been on the verge of stagnation, with just 0.7% growth in July. The government, which initially promised Putin 2.5% economic growth this year, in September lowered its forecast to 1.5%, and then to 1.2%. The less money Russia has to finance its war machine, the better. Economic pressure on Russia must intensify. Putin's close associate Dmitry Kozak had resigned from his position as Deputy Kremlin Chief of Staff of his own accord, Peskov said. Earlier, the ISW linked Kozak's dismissal to disagreements with Putin. In particular, Kozak insisted on negotiations with Ukraine. They also noted that, according to one Russian political scientist, Kozak was the only participant in the February 21, 2022, Russia's Security Council meeting who opposed the launch of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. On August 10th, the New York Times, citing sources close to the Kremlin, reported that in the past few months, Kozak had advised Putin to immediately stop fighting in Ukraine and start peace negotiations. In 2022, Reuters learned that Kozak had convinced Putin that he had reached a preliminary deal with Ukraine to refrain from joining NATO, but the Russian leader rejected it and launched a full-scale invasion.
Has Dmitry Kozak's resignation been signed?
Look, we haven't published the decree yet. There is no decree. I can confirm that indeed he has resigned. Dmitry Nikolaevich Kozak has resigned. This is indeed true.
Did he mention any reasons for submitting his resignation?
Of his own accord.
Danish Prime Minister Fredriksson announced that the country will buy long-range precision weapons to counter Russian threat.
The statements coming from Russia follow what we have seen over a longer period. They are trying to directly threaten us Europeans with war in Ukraine, with sabotage, with various attacks on critical infrastructure, and with their words that they are the ones to decide Europe's future, and it will not be Russia that decides Europe's future. We Europeans must do that. It is not enough to defend ourselves with an air defense system, which we are in the process of purchasing for a very, very large amount of billions. One must also dare to want and have the ability to ultimately deter Russia. So we do not want either a conflict or a war with Russia. No one in Europe desires that. There is only one aggressive party, and that is Russia. But if we do not dare to defend ourselves, and one cannot defend oneself with words alone, and one cannot defend oneself with dialogue and diplomacy. Russia has shown again and again and again that they want the conflict, they want the war. If we do not dare to stand up for ourselves and do what needs to be done, then we are simply too easy a target at some point. We must, everything we are doing right now is to avoid the war. But words simply do not do it anymore in any way. And therefore, this significant armament, and therefore also this shift in Danish defense policy. Whether the Danes support this, I do not know. But I know that it is my responsibility to take care of Denmark. And our assessment is that we cannot do it without this acquisition.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.